Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another post-race recap where we sit down and we talk about what happened at the spa. And no, not the spa where you play with your nails and your other shenanigans. The spa that takes away the grip of your tires, which George Russell unfortunately learned the hard way. So here we go. The German Dave, the Canadian Dave. Let's dive into this race, guys. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. We had a bit of a funny start to this pod this afternoon. We've all been busy. We missed some big news, but we're here to tell you about
it. You guys, don't put me into that.
Dave knew this. This could have been an embarrassing podcast.
Good. Yeah, like could you imagine if I came in here and I was like, "Damn, I really thought Lewis Hamilton should win," and then he's just like,
and then boom, 105 in the back.
So Lewis Hamilton gets his 105th victory,
setting records and records.
Yeah, 200 podiums or 201 podiums, 105 of those at the top. Pretty insane stat.
No, it's absolutely insane, absolutely insane. I loved it when he took over Charles over there at that point of the run. I'm like, oh my gosh, is there a new Lewis Hamilton that we're gonna see? But overall, qualifying was interesting, right? Where the elements were at bay, or per se playing a key factor into it.
The whole weekend.
Very, very much. And then the race was
the rainy weather,
hot and steamy today versus like the other days, which I thought was interesting. Another episode where we get to make fun of Perez, even though I think Perez is doing God's work by keeping the constructor build close. But Ferrari, quite sneakily done again this week. Quite the sneaky says those guys. Again, another pretty decent race from Ferrari. But where do you guys want to dive in? Do you guys want to start with qualifying? Do you want to make fun of Perez? Do you want to see if Max Verstappen was awake until 3 a.m. again? Where do you guys want to go?
I think we have to start where it was nice and moist on Saturday. That moist Saturday that we experienced.
I would even talk shortly about Friday because the free practices were also in wet conditions. Like it was sometimes wet, it dried up, it was wet again, and in those conditions, the teams didn't have proper time to test the tire life and their tire strategies and everything, which will come into play later because some of the teams took a gamble based on a little knowledge that they had because of those rain-washed practice sessions, and that maybe has bitten them afterwards.
It's hard on those weekends when you're not 100% sure. Even today, the Sunday, we weren't even 100%. It turned out to be a beautiful day, but throughout the weekend, we didn't know what the setup was going to be. So, at least in the qualifying, it's going to be wet. So do you try to get track position or do you set up for the race on Sunday?
Yeah. For example, what Red Bull looks like they did with Verstappen's car is that they set his car up on more downforce. That is why he was so much better than all the others, because he won all the time in that second sector where you have all those tight turns and everything. He gained, I believe, 8. What was it? He was 6/10 in front of the others at the end of the lap, and I think alone in that sector he won 5/10 of a second, exactly in that sector with the turny bits, and it has bitten them later in the race because he couldn't overtake properly. Because usually the Red Bull, and you guys can attest to that, is so much quicker on the straight than the McLaren and the Mercedes and the other cars. And he couldn't overtake. He was behind Norris basically the whole race before McLaren effed Norris over with, again, a bad strategy call.
Well, how much was this as well with the added factor, the added unknowns, if you will, that DRS zone at the top of the hill getting shortened by 75 meters. So
that's also part of it.
Because now maybe they're like, well, that advantage is taken away from us because we don't have that space to employ the DRS. So maybe we'll try to make that time up in the second sector. And clearly it didn't pay off completely for him.
Yep.
Is there any logic behind them reducing it? Because like for example, Spa was always the race where like you would see the most overtakes. And
It's an
like
insane advantage down that straight. Like you can really get
Yeah.
going. However, the teams are so close now. The top 4 are so close on pace
Yep.
that there isn't that clear advantage. So they're reacting to basically last year where Max was the fastest, like by
Yeah.
a whole lot. The past 2 years, he took grid penalties. The past couple Belgiums because they know with that straight line pace they can just overtake everyone. So
Yep.
they reacted to what was happening the previous 2 years, and now it's obsolete. It was dumb. We needed it today, if anything.
Yeah, and now he still finished in P4, so I guess it wasn't too bad after all, but he got gifted basically a position by Norris, and he got gifted a position now after Russell's disqualification. So that puts him on P4, which ironically he made positions up again on Norris. Whereas that is so crazy to me, but we will get into Norris and his starts and the McLaren strategy and everything in again. But yeah, this wasn't supposed to be a race where Verstappen will make points up on Norris again, but he did.
Yeah, a couple more points. So that being said, the qualifying, we already knew it was difficult.
Yeah.
What do you do? Is it dry? Is it wet? Do we go in between? Do compromise? Do we find, like Max trying to find time in certain sectors? So we get the qualifying, and it got wet, and then it got dry, and it got more wet, and it was a mess. And this makes qualifying exciting. If not it's not fast, but it makes it exciting.
Yeah.
So we saw a few surprises there, actually. I'm just gonna throw an honorable mention out there for Esteban Ocon.
Oh yeah.
The ninth. Like, what the hell?
No,
well, welcome to the race.
It was really good. Hey, welcome. Hey, the Alpines finally showed something, and he won points in the end as well. So
He did.
Congratulations. He got 2 points, I believe.
He did. I mean, that's huge for Alpine. So
yeah,
good for them. That's Stroll isn't here to gloss over, to simp over this week. Unfortunately, he was just outside the points. So I think the hipster simp of the week is going to be Esteban Ocon.
No, yeah.
All right.
The guy that will be sitting.
Oh, we lost him. We lost him mid-sentence.
No, he's back. He's back.
Yeah.
Back.
I meant and exactly the guy that will be sitting in a Haas next season.
Oh, yes, of course. And I mean, it's funny because Hamilton is supposed to be going to Ferrari. Now, all of a sudden, he's winning races, even though, he's washed. That he's not doing anything. Is this what these guys need? Carlos clearly needs to choose a team because he's going to start racing better. If that's the case, this is the theme on deck right now. So, Carlos, where are you going, bud? We still don't know.
Hey, he's the guy that all these domino stones aren't falling yet. Like some of the teams already made their move. Hamilton made his move, but the big moves will happen when Carlos makes his decision.
And I should say back to Alpine a little bit.
Or you can also turn it the other way, or if Mercedes, for example, makes their decision on who will replace Hamilton last season, because that closes the door for Carlos that he's hoping for, and also Red Bull. Like, we don't know yet 100%, but I'm pretty sure that he's not on the table for Red Bull. But if those doors close down, then he has no choice. Then he has to go to one of the mid-tier teams. So we will see. We will see, man. It is very interesting. Right now, it looks like, or the rumors are saying that he signed a pre-contract with Williams, and it just doesn't get announced officially because he has a clause in it that if he gets an offer from Mercedes or Red Bull or whatever, from one of the top teams, that he can take that seat. So we will see.
We will see. How much of this for Alpine, just to talk about them again, is the fact that their car was red this weekend?
I don't know.
Zach?
Is red a lighter color than blue?
No, because they have a partnership with Ryan Reynolds, and Deadpool movie got released over the weekend, so they had a specialty wrap for it. Best movie ever right now.
Yeah, I thought I'll segue that a little bit. Let Dash have his little limelight. He watched it. He enjoyed it.
Oh, it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. Marvel Jesus to save the day.
Marvel Jesus, go Ryan Reynolds, everyone's favorite homeboy.
The best thing to come out of Canada.
It really is. I'm not going to really argue that because what's the competition? Celine Dion, Justin Bieber,
Drake.
Drake. Jim Carrey was good for a while, and then he went nuts.
Alfonso
He got
Davies.
man.
Alfonso. Wait, no. Hold on. There's something that rivals it. Jordan Huitema.
Oh, I thought you
you're
were
a
going
Huitema
to
fan,
say Julia Grosso.
There's also Julia Grosso.
We
Who?
forgot about her.
We've moved on apparently.
Alicia Lehman part 2.
Oh man. Listen, we're not talking about the Canadian women's soccer team right now.
Fair enough.
They're not to be mentioned.
Did we want to mention that Sergio Perez is like the elephant in the tree, where it's like, P2, and it's like, how the fuck did you get up there?
Is he getting fired?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll cover the race. I was just saying in qualifying, he actually got a car across the line.
He qualified
will
P2.
get fired, dude. On a weekend where everything seems okay, where he puts the car on P2 in qualifying, to still finish on what was it in the end? Because the penalty confuses me. Before the penalty, he finished on P7, I believe.
Yes.
So it's a P.
43 seconds back as well.
Dude, that is crazy. That is crazy to me. When you start in that position to lose that time, I haven't had the time yet to look all the lap times up, but the team consultant Helmut Marko said that he lost about, what was it, 4 or 5 tenths per lap, which is absolutely not good at all.
Yeah, I mean,
it's an inside job. They're trying to make the constructors build competitive. That's what's going on.
Yeah, for your viewing pleasure.
Yeah,
they're
trying to get the ratings up, and they're telling them to do this on purpose.
Yeah. What is it though? Like, I don't get it. He throws down an amazing lap, but then that's just it.
Yeah, but what counts? What gives you the points?
Oh, I know.
I mean, you still got 3 points for qualifying, 8 point something.
You get nothing for qualifying.
So Perez actually does have the fastest lap of the day. Funny enough.
Yeah, because they brought him in 2 laps before that. They gave him fresh stuff.
Yes. That's why he's 43 seconds back. So really, he's like 20.
Yeah, but subtract 19 seconds of that, and he's still too far off.
Yeah,
he
got it. See, he got 8 point.
And also, you have to imagine, on the soft fresh tire for 2 laps, that he made 4 seconds or something good on those as well. So he was still 30 something seconds behind, which isn't good.
Yeah,
that's kind of petty. It's kind of funny because it's strategic but petty from Red Bull. They're just like, oh, Lando Norris is in the purple. All right, hey Perez, come and get on softs.
Yeah. Man.
So he just isn't in the game then. Is that what it is? The head's not in the game? He's lost it?
It has to be something.
Or is it crazy enough to say that the Red Bull actually isn't that good and Max is still just a robot and he is overdriving the hell out of that car right now?
Yeah, can be, because I don't believe that Perez is this dog shit.
So is the Red Bull shit? Is that what it is? Is the Red Bull shit?
I think the Red Bull is half shit.
It's like Ferrari level shit.
I mean, if you imagine this is a track. This was Red Bull's best track, the past seasons. And for the McLarens or Piastri, because we didn't see what Norris can do actually, because he effed his race over. The McLaren of Piastri and the Mercedes of Hamilton were the quickest cars on this track, and this is a Red Bull track. So you can argue whether both of them are on par or over the Red Bull, which is crazy if you think how the season started and they had a 30-second advantage in the first couple of races.
So that's something I kind of want to bring up too. Talk about the advantage or the disadvantage. And call me a bit of a pessimist about this. I was trying to think about this, rationalize this as well. This was probably the most even race. The Red Bull's not performing great, but like in the mix, everyone's in the mix in the top 4. They're all there. They're all split up, other than because of strategy, the two Mercs were up top. But it was almost too boring in a sense, because everyone was just kind of stuck. It was like you were watching that mid-table that DRS train that happens between like 10th to 15th, but it was happening between like 1th and 8th.
That's
1 and 8, in that sense.
Yeah.
So it kind of, even though there was overtakes and it was a good race, there was no drama, like there's no rubbing, no cars blowing up, nothing was really happening. It was like we were on sim mode, right? And we were just like watching the computer play. It was kind of weird, right?
It was kind of weird, but this was this is a race that was won and lost on strategy, because the cars, look, the number said that you had to have over a second advantage on lap time to be able to overtake, if you don't have a specific like car that is set up to straight line speed. So you have to have a 1 second time advantage, basically. And nobody had that in this race, because they are, like you said, they were that closely matched. Like all the cars, even the Ferraris were in that mix that they couldn't get overtaken barely. The only cars that when they got overtaken was at the start, where it depends on how you get off the line. And then the Mercedes was a bit quicker, I guess, and so he overtook Leclerc also almost immediately. And and after that, nothing really happened. You really had to have a big lap time advantage on the car in front to get past it.
So for me, there was 3 main things here, and we didn't really wrap up qualifying, but that was the first thing, was qualifying. The second one was the start, and the third thing was strategy. The race itself was routine. So we should just wrap up the qualifying. Just state it as it is, right? Let's go over it. Max Verstappen, by a huge margin. Let's get those times up right there. 6/10.
Yep.
But he has a new engine, his 5th one, so he starts in 11th. That's how fast Max was.
Yeah, a new engine, and also a car like I said, that was set up on more downforce, so it was also suited better for the rainy conditions. But he made the most of it.
Yeah, I wonder how much that new engine did help. But man, 6/10 regardless. Just giving her, like, Charles. I'm happy he got pole.
Yeah,
but it's kind of embarrassing that he wasn't closer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know if it's a proper indicator, but for example, Max's highest straight line speed that was measured on that long back straight was 346 kph, and Perez had 340 kph. Now, I don't know if all of that is down to purely engine, because it's hard to get the view of those numbers and trying to rationalize them actually. But I think it had a big play, of course, that he had a fresh engine. Yeah.
Well, that's part of it. And there was a section there where Max was talking to the GP there about going flat out through Eau Rouge, because you can bottom out and damage your floor, because it's not only elevation, but there's a dip in the road as well. And Max didn't care. He was going flat out.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
So I think just keeping that little bit of extra momentum as well. probably get that 6 kph. Yeah, why not? But to round up qualifying, you got Perez in third. Again, great. And I'm going with Max in first, obviously. He moved back to 11th. Hamilton, Norris, Piastri, Russell, Sainz, Alonso, Ocon, and then the back end, Ocon, Albon, Gasly, Ricardo, Bottas. My boy Stroll in 15th, Nico Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Sargent not in absolute last, and Joe Granu with a little bit of foreshadowing because he didn't. He did like 1 or 2 laps. How many laps did he do before he retired?
Yep.
Yeah, nobody remembered him. He wasn't there.
Oh, very
yeah, very. Yeah, did not finish. It was only a couple laps in any case.
He retired on, what was it, lap 4 or 5 or something
like
that?
5, there it is.
Yeah, lap 5. Yeah.
Fifth lap. So there you go. So that was qualifying. So back to the race. Dash, you're supposed to be the one that studies the ship here.
I know, but I let you guys go. I didn't want to just like sit in there and just like, all right, guys, let's bring this back here. But let's kick the race off. So I think we had some interesting right there at the beginning, right? So we have a couple of things to cover in the beginning. I think the main bulk or the juice of this race was more so towards, that second pit stop, right? Where you started noticing certain things.
Yeah.
So kind of just going briefly, right? So, all right. Looking at the race off rip, so Leclerc made a pretty good start to lead off the line. Hamilton also had a very, very solid launch, which got him over Perez. Norris unfortunately got his wheel in some gravel and dropped a little bit down, but Verstappen was already starting to make gains.
Right there.
Yeah,
right there? Already. That's where you think he lost it?
He lost already right there. It cost him, what, 2 positions? What was it? That he lost immediately?
Yeah,
he fell back and had to make overtakes again.
Yep. And then really beautiful overtake with Hamilton using the DRS to get past Leclerc right there, I believe on the 3rd lap, and right on the Kemmel Straight to take the lead of the race. And then after that moment, I believe it was 8 total lead changes this race for pole. But Zhou unfortunately lost his power, and his kick, Sauber, had to go back to the pit lane, and that was pretty much done. Hulkenberg on the statistics was the first driver to pit at lap 8, following Albon. Ricardo, Sargent as well 1 lap later. Lap 10, Russell and Verstappen were the first of the front runners to go into the pit stop, with each coming back 12th and 14th, and with the hard compound. So interesting. Again, the track was essentially disintegrating the medium tires, so a lot of teams went in towards the hard compound to maintain some more tire life because of the resurfacing of that.
Yep. But also you have to think about Spa is a very long lap, so you have to treat this race almost as 88 laps instead of 44. So if you think about it, instead of instead of thinking the cars came in around lap 10 or 11, where most cars came in, on other tracks it would have been lap 20 or something like that, like 19 or 20. So the tire life wasn't too bad, because the Pirelli data said, I believe, on lap 9 that some of them will come in. So Ricardo came already in, Sargent came in, Hulkenberg came in, those guys came already in. But the others stayed for 1 or 2 laps longer, basically. So it showed to have a bit better tire life, what will influence a couple of people's decisions later on.
Yep. And then following up, lap 13, Leclerc pitted, or he came back in 5th. Piastri made his way past Perez to take P5 there. This left Sainz and Norris to take 1st and 2nd, with neither of them made their pit stop. Maximum pace, as Norris was told by his race engineer before he eventually pitted to undercut Sainz, which I kind of is interesting the way they managed his race. Replays show the Spaniard having quite the turn moment at turn 14 in the lead. His Ferrari making a little bit of a kiss of the gravel, per se, to get back on the track, while Verstappen was looking very, very fast at P7 and chased down Russell up ahead. Though the Mercedes was... Go ahead.
From that point on, Verstappen lost time because he was quicker than Russell, and he lost a bit of time there, which cost him a bit of time on Leclerc because he got the undercut on Leclerc normally, but then Leclerc came out of the pits in front of Max, I believe, again.
Mm-hmm.
So he lost that undercut, but there was a certain team that kept their driver out even longer, and that cost that driver, which is Lando Norris. So
Yeah.
his race got killed, number one, at the start, where he went off track and into the gravel, which cost him a lot of time and positions right away from the start. And it was such a bad mistake because there wasn't even pressure from the right side. Like nobody shoved him to the gravel. He just went outside a bit. He said later himself that he misjudged it. He went a bit on that sausage curb, and that basically gave him a bit of a momentum, and he went outside.
Norris does this every weekend, though. Even if he wins,
he's
shooting himself in the foot, And this time, it definitely cost him.
Every time on the start, like in every podcast episode so far that we had, like he had a bad start and had to make positions up again.
Mm-hmm.
And in this race where you can overtake very hard, he put himself in a bad position in the first place, and now to stay out 5 laps longer than Max, you are guaranteed to lose that position. And the McLaren doesn't have the straight line speed, and even though it may be quicker than the Red Bull, it doesn't have such a lap time advantage that he will overtake Max on track on a track like this. So the strategy to come in a couple of laps later, but wanting to have a tire advantage later on, it doesn't help in a case like this where you can't overtake. You have to treat this. Of course, it's a extreme now, but this was a race like Monaco, for example, or Budapest, where track position is key. But they treated this like a different track this time, and that is what lost him the race, or at least lost him to finish in front of Max.
Strategy. That was one of the points I said.
Strategy.
Right? Strategy was bigger just race pace today.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of that strategy, I mean, at this point, roughly around this area too, Sainz was potentially questioned. I believe people were thinking, was Sainz going to go for the one stop? Ferrari driver was told plan B by his engineer before driving into the pit lane for a stop in lap 21 to switch to medium tires, bringing him back to 8. Elsewhere, Russell took over 4th place within a couple of laps. The Mexican made an early second pit stop to take on the hard compound, which again just shows his race just continuously going downhill from there. Hamilton was leading 1.8 from Leclerc, with Piastri a few seconds behind back in 3rd. Once we get to the halfway mark here at lap 23, there was action in the lower midfield as Ricciardo surged past Sargent for P16, leaving the American to face pressure from the other RB car of Tsunoda, which was getting close between which is also showing the battle between Norris and Verstappen, and that was just a majority of the race is those two, and it was just Norris just could not catch him. But a mistake from the ladder, essentially over the bus stop chicane, caused McLaren to lose a bit of ground there against Verstappen. Then Leclerc visits the pits for a second stop at 26 in an attempt to undercut Mr. Hammer Time. But at 3.4 seconds, it was slightly slow of a stop for him, unfortunately. Great going Ferrari again. Hamilton,
I'm so upset. Like they've got better tire degradation this year, and they're not using it to their advantage.
No, they don't.
It's bothering me. And I thought they were going to use Sainz, and as just going back to the first pit there, the Sainz. I thought he was just going to go long, hold up people, keep people off of Leclerc's back.
And they brought in Sainz right when Hamilton finally closed up to him.
The worst time. It was this man. Two more laps, he would have slowed him down.
Keep him one lap there. That will at least cost a couple of tenths or a second, maybe even. And
What am I going to say?
They brought
It's
him
a-
in like it is by the way the second stop. Of course, I'm for sides the first one. For the others, it was around this the second area already, and it was baffling to me that they didn't do it. If it was Red Bull, they would have kept Perez there for laps on laps on laps to hold off another car.
They're just not aggressive enough with their strategy. They played it too safe.
We are understating it even, I believe, because Leclerc was actually like fighting for a win. If you break it down to that, it was so close. He was fighting for a win. In the end, he didn't have the pace, of course, of Piastri, who was charging after the two Mercedes. But at that point, you have still like calculate and set up your strategy for a race win because he was in that fight. But they didn't.
And speaking of Piastri, when are we gonna agree that maybe he's matured to the point where he's not making as many of those mistakes and he's a little bit better on those tires? Because I think he's starting to take that step.
He's taking the step.
He's starting to take that step, but even then he had that one bad stop where he overshot his pit box. So he's the role like I'm not ready yet to say, and I'm the Oscar fan here.
But doing better than Lando, if that's kind of what I'm getting at, right?
He's doing really, really good, and he's getting also hold over his tire management, which I really like that he's doing that step right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
and we did find out
development. Yeah,
and I do want to bring back just from last week quickly because the whole McLaren thing. It turned out that he did have some floor damage. Oscar did, and that's why his pace wasn't as strong as it could have been. So,
also
just
your theory. Just to also agree with something that you said last episode, because Oscar was listening to the team and driving the lap times that the team wanted, and Lando was exceeding the lap time that they wanted. So that was also the reason why he lost time to Lando. So he was following the team's orders, while the other driver didn't in the end.
Ooh, so it's Lando's fault.
In the end, he did, but he didn't listen to the lap times that McLaren wanted.
I'm turning into an Oscar fan. I'm just saying, like I'm not a big Lando fan, but Oscar.
I told you.
Doing good.
I told you, Oscar is great.
All right.
Welcome to the hype train.
All right, so Hamilton then follows after Leclerc there by pitting, resulting with the Merc and the Ferrari now running 6th and 7th, respectively. This left Piastri out in the lead. The Australian then put the fastest lap in the race. It goes without saying, he says in the comms. But clean air is king, as he commented to his engineer, and a flurry of action kicks up there in the pit lane as Verstappen and Sainz pit again at lap 29. The Red Bull for the mediums, the Ferrari for the hards. 1 lap later, Norris makes a pit stop to bolt on the hard compound, bringing the Brit potentially in a difficult spot between Verstappen and Sainz. Piastri then pits from the lead on lap 31, but having overshot his box, which was a slower stop of 4.4 seconds, putting him back on track at 4th, which I still think is a pretty damn good recovery by that.
By the way, that costed him, I'd argue, at least a P2. In the end, of course, he got P2, but if you forget for a second that Russell was disqualified, he could have challenged for the actual P2, but those 2 seconds that he lost because he overshot the pit box would have brought him out in front of Leclerc on track, and he lost that position to Leclerc because of the bad stop. So he wouldn't have to overtake Charles on track. So he lost already time trying to overtake him, and he was stuck like a couple of laps behind him until he finally got past him, and that's when he finally caught up to the Mercedes. So he lost a bit time in that fight as well, and I think he had the pace to overtake maybe one of them. I think because he was so much quicker in the end there.
But he was also close towards the end. I mean, it was
but
what,
you can also say
seconds?
that Russell was on 34 or 35 lap old hard tire, so you can argue Hamilton lost time there and he held Hamilton up, but still Oscar was the fastest car on track, and he may have overtaken one of them at least. And imagine he overtakes Hamilton in that case or in that duel, and then Russell gets disqualified. It would have been his his
second
race.
It was getting close.
Yeah. So he has to iron out those errors, but he's still young, and it is his second season. I give him some leeway on that one.
Yeah, so then Russell takes the lead after this round of pit stops. The Silver Arrows car not making his second. This is where people are wondering, like, hey, is he doing a one-stopper? Hamilton was 6 seconds behind in P2, while Leclerc followed in P3. So lap 33 hits down. A couple of battles were brewing. Unfortunately for Norris, still chasing Verstappen there at P5, while Hamilton had cut the gap to Russell, which I thought we were going to see some hammer time there. Piastri looked keen to bounce back from his slower pit stop here, and he hunted Leclerc down for third. And
just on Hamilton, like it was actual hammer time, like how he made that time up was great. It's just again that case where it was two Mercedes cars and both have the same straight line speed.
Yeah,
and you don't have a big enough advantage to being able to overtake the car like on that straight. And also in the last couple of laps, Lewis overshot the first corner or the first turn a little bit, where he didn't have a good exit then, and George could escape a little bit.
Max was obviously pushing, but I think that dirty air, just old tires, dirty air. What's going on with her?
I think that was StreamYard, but we can continue on. Old tires, dirty air.
I thought it was me, but no.
I think it was StreamYard.
Okay.
We're back.
System.
But going on here, continuing here. So one of the things with Lewis and Mr. Russell. So Lewis asks, "Am I on target to beat him or not?" He asked the engineer, which the response was in a deep Darth Vader voice. "It's close," from Toto. No, I'm just kidding. But they're essentially saying it was close. Elsewhere, Piastri pulled the fine overtake on Leclerc to snatch the potential podium.
And by the way, McLaren, take note. This is how you do strategy when both of your cars are at the front. Look, it just happened through. You can't say it happened randomly, but George Russell was at the front. How do you decide if something like that happens? Let them race. If the other car behind is quicker, then feel free to overtake him on track. But they said, be careful and leave each other room. And that's how you manage situations like that.
How much do you think George, kind of let Russell have it, in a sense? He didn't want to push too hard.
You mean Hamilton?
Yeah, sorry. What did I say?
Oh no, I think he absolutely wanted to do it. The two of them don't like each other too much.
No,
like they're very much rivals, and if he could have, he would have.
I'm sure he could have, but like there's a certain risk assessment, right? Where if he's going to go for a heavy dive bomb, obviously there's high risk, high reward. So did he only go for maybe stop at a medium risk, medium reward kind of situation? Just to bring it back a notch.
Yeah,
perhaps
I can go with that. Yeah.
It's because he knew he was going to get disqualified. That's why Lewis didn't try.
He saw. Oh man, his car looks a bit twitchier than mine. Man,
it's a little bit twitchy there. I think he's like, I'm just going to stay here and let him get DQ'd. But with 7 laps remaining here, Russell, despite running on the old hard tires, was ahead of him by just 3 seconds. Leclerc, facing pressure from Verstappen in the fight for fourth, and Norris was right behind him. Sainz made a straightforward move on Perez to take P7 with just a few laps. This was where the race kind of got fun to watch because Hamilton closed the gap. It was on Russell's bumper. But again, kind of like German Dave alludes here, give each other plenty of space was the warning from the pit wall. As Hamilton looked to make a couple of moves, unfortunately, his exits weren't good where Russell's were better, so he held on to the lead while Piastri was closing in behind as well. Could Russell hold on to the end? And he does. Because Hamilton, unfortunately, unable to get away through with just 0.52 seconds back. unfortunately, Lewis Hamilton does get past Russell, but in this form, in a post-race DQ, where his car was found to be underweight and was disqualified from the race results, handing the victory to Mr. Hamilton, giving him 105. And there you have it. That was Spa.
That was Spa. It almost felt like a Spa day. It was just such, like I had said before, it was just such a nice, relaxing, straightforward race.
Yep. It was.
No drama. There was not really any drama. And I'm disappointed.
I'm disappointed, he says. I want to see Max go in the air again.
Yeah, but we will get plenty of chances to see that this season. With how close it is right now, you will see Max explode in a couple of races too.
So I hope so. They're all ready for vacation.
Trust me, from 2021, if it happens too many times and you see too many explosions, it burns you out. Trust me, it burns you out.
I'm here for it, man.
So have it sporadically, like a nice cheat day here and there, and you'll be satisfied.
So we are going into the summer break. Zandvoort in the Netherlands is coming up at the end of the August. Sorry, end of the month. No, end of August. So a bit of a break. We can regroup, but the teams, well, they're forced to take breaks too, the employees. But there is time.
2 weeks, I believe. The factories have to be closed for 14 days, counting from now midnight.
But that doesn't mean there aren't developments underway. We could see another shakeup coming in the Netherlands. I love that track too. It's just so old school, and the camber on that final turn. Oh, it's such a cool track. I love it. I can't wait. Unfortunately, it's another. Why does Max get 3 home tracks?
Dude, he has.
Because he's Max.
He has all of Europe as his home track. I was surprised that there wasn't that many Dutch fans today, but maybe they went to Paris now to cheer on other Dutch athletes. I don't know. Well,
because Max lived in Belgium. Like, he's a Belgian citizen. He is Dutch.
Oh, he is. He was born and raised in Belgium. Like, his first couple of years, he races as a Dutch driver because he has a Dutch driving license that his dad got him. But he's technically more Belgian than Dutch.
He's a low country man in any case. But I mean, he gets Belgium, he gets the Netherlands, he gets Austria because of Red Bull.
Yeah,
like those are 3 home races faster. Like,
if there was a German race, that would have been his as well.
Was he German?
No,
but because it's like the next thing.
No, because it's just the closest thing for the Dutch fans.
I guess I wouldn't mind having a German race back. France losing it. Come on, you guys are slipping.
Yeah,
I thought you guys were first world countries.
Number one, Germany doesn't have the money for that, or we could have if we wanted, but the state doesn't want to fund an F1 project, and France just straight up has a trash track.
just retrofit the Nuremberg.
There's a few tracks in Germany.
Could you imagine if that was an F1? I could just imagine them going off the hill and all of them just catching air and flipping.
Habibi Dash, that
why not?
They tried that for a lot of years, and it was too dangerous.
Yeah, there's no way
that's not racing there.
That track is dangerous for racing regular GTR cars. Like,
dude,
could you imagine?
There's the reason why it is called the green hell.
Like, the amount, like, for example, if your downforce is not set for that track, you're catching air.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you're catching air. Like, it was funny because the Gran Turismo movie did a race there at the Nuremberg where the guy was driving the Nisimo GTR.
I let you talk about one nerd movie, and now you're gonna take another inch and talk about GT. Okay, go ahead.
Let's see where the car turned 10 times in the air.
It's the moment he goes on the incline and it reaches the apex of the incline, the car just catches air and flips, and I'm just like, yep, that's the Nuremberg.
Why do we keep on talking about Nuremberg? It's like,
because it's the Nuremberg, because it's the Nürburgring, and it's actually close to Nuremberg.
Yeah, so I mean, you have if you're following that end of things. Nuremberg beat them 3-0 in preseason. You can listen to that podcast too if you want. Well, that was a
episode.
Yeah, we did a watch along and then a live on Saturday. Yeah, we did a couple shows
a
on
lot. We covered that a lot.
Yeah.
But we covered the race. I mean, unless we want to talk about the constructor build on how it's practically 42 points between McLaren and
I
Red
don't know.
Bull.
Did we forget some details? I don't know.
No, I think this was just
so straightforward. So we can talk about just
straightforward.
Scoring the points anyways. George Russell, of course, getting a soft serve with the DQ. Lewis Hamilton takes...
Fuck my F1 fantasy team.
Lewis Hamilton ends up getting the top of the podium with Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon picking up a big 2 points there for the Wolverine car, and Danny Rick in 10th. So that's it. Let's look at drivers or teams. Which one?
Drivers first.
Drivers first. All right.
Drivers first, and then
Mr. Max.
Mr. Max gains points on Lando Norris and Nader. So fortunately for Lando, he falls behind on the standings here, but 199 to 277, a 78-point gap difference. I mean, I just
it was
more than
76. It became 78. So
yeah, I don't see Max losing this. Where I do see Max losing is in the constructor build.
I was losing his mind.
Yeah, that Hamilton actually with a nice healthy bulk up. I mean, Hamilton's kind of came back from the brink.
Hamilton is getting up there.
Yeah, he's definitely making up ground.
His
fourth and fifth are both in reach.
Yeah, I could see him overtaking fourth and fifth. Maybe challenge that top four, break into it.
Yeah.
But going on to
but now that Piastri has a hold over everything as well, and he's getting into the things even more and more, I think like the McLarens will be P2 and 3, and then it depends on if Hamilton or the Mercedes in that case continues to be this good.
Or the Ferraris find something during the summer break and get their cars going.
Here's the thing. The technical aspect of these cars right now may have met their limit.
Yeah,
I am interested to see.
The Red Bull, I believe, has met his limit because they are still bringing updates, but the updates doesn't win them lap time.
They're not doing anything, and even Ferrari, who had to take a step back, is still on pace for the most part with Red Bull at this moment. Mercedes made a big jump, but how much more can they get?
Yeah.
Right now, McLaren clearly huge advantage, relatively speaking, but are they going to be able to extend that? Like, I think we're kind of where we're at.
By the way, I think the advantage that Mercedes has is they started the season with a completely new concept. All the other teams did an evolution of their last concepts. From the McLaren to the Red Bull. The Red Bull is still an evolution of the last car, even though it has those big shoulders, those torpedoes on the side.
The cannons.
Those cannons, man. They're still following the same philosophy of last season's car, and the Mercedes, they changed concepts completely. And that's why I think the Mercedes has still a lot to milk out of this concept because it freshly started. Now I don't know if the ceiling of their concept is still being the best car on the grid. I don't know that if they can develop towards that. But right now I think Mercedes has the highest ceiling because they can still throw updates on it, which will improve the car because they're still learning on a race-to-race basis because their concept is that new.
Regardless, like it's tight, it's getting tighter.
Yep.
This race was a perfect example. So just to put in perspective, you have just from drivers, not looking at names, but a Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, Mercedes, then the two Aston Martins. It's quite the mix-up.
Yep.
Now, of course, let's get to the teams because this is really where it starts to get exciting.
42-point gap between McLaren and Red Bull, which McLaren made another sizable gain on them.
Yeah, it is juicy, man.
And Ferrari holding on, like losing a bit of ground, but staying in that contention.
Yep.
Mercedes picking up ground.
They would have picked up more ground if somebody didn't get DQ'd.
No, they would have picked up quite a bit more.
That would have been a big jump. But
we got 18.
If it continues like that, and we don't know because there are no guarantees, because it's so close, man. On a race trace basis, maybe one of the team brings an update, and that race, for example, Ferrari will do well. The next race, McLaren will do well. The next race is a Red Bull race again. So
we have to remember too. There's some, like, we've been in Europe where they're proper open, like, high speed racetracks. We have Singapore, we have Azerbaijan still, Las Vegas. There's some tracks that are going to be coming up that are completely different to what we've been seeing.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
Because those tracks, I mean,
and
they're my favorite, but they're fun. They're a good switch up.
And it's not max
and also
by 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't think that won't happen anymore. Like, he of course will win like still lots of races this season because he is that incredible as an individual driver. But I think the times of the Red Bull being 20 seconds something ahead of everybody else are over. It's over. we saw that now for 2 months. That is over, and I'm excited to see Max having to fight for every point now, which I really like. But not because he's in a championship fight, but because he actually like has to overtake cars that are closely matching pace to win races. Because nobody is driving to the side, letting him through anymore.
So you're saying it's over? Is it over for the summer break? Is this time to sign off, take a couple breathers, and then just go into our second podcast that we're releasing today? A bit of a teaser for you guys, because this one will likely come out first.
Yeah, I think we're good. We're nothing.
Good. I know that's the thing. That's just how it feels today. It's like, the race was over.
It was pretty straightforward. I just want to throw this out there because don't think too much about championship or championship fights right now, because
it's still too early.
He's so far ahead, man, and let's not like build it up too much, and then in the end we will be disappointed that nothing happened. He still has such a big point advantage, and he will win races. Like, he will get the maximum points, like, and still in some of the races.
Yeah, I didn't.
Pump the brakes on a driver championship fight. Even in this race where Norris should have finished in front of him, he made points up on Norris. So pump the brakes on a championship fight, but enjoy every single damn race, because you see him fight now every race at least, and that's what I love. So watch the rest of the season on a race-to-race basis, and enjoy every race, and don't think too much about the championship.
Yeah, I think the only way that he loses the championship is next season when Hamilton goes to Ferrari and takes the first seat.
And that's what I'm interested too. If Hammer can make up some ground here and start challenging Charles in the
it's interesting because he has a new lease on life, and it's like, from what I've read, it's like he's kind of omitted from a lot of the meetings with Mercedes because
he is.
Oh yeah,
he is. He doesn't know most of the things that are going on with the car, because it is kept under wraps from him. And now look how great he is right now. Now the problem is, or the hope is, that Ferrari will build something from next season's Peacock to be competitive, and this is what you see of him when he has a competitive car. Like today again, like, George lucked out with his strategy. Nobody knew that the one stop would be so good. Everybody was set up except of the Aston Martins to go for a 2-stop, and he was as well. Hey, we didn't even talk about the disqualification. Hey, we have to get
that. I mean, we mentioned it so many times. We just, man. Okay, I guess we need to explain that.
Then let's do it now for a second, because he got disqualified because his Mercedes car was weighing 1.5 kilo less than the minimum weight requirement. And that is down to, it is mostly speculation, because there isn't 100% confirmation yet, but that is down to the tires wearing more than they thought. Or sorry, I say it otherwise. They didn't wear more than they thought, but they drove a strategy on one tire that wore the tires down like expected usually. Dude, I'm not good at this English thing right now.
You're not good. You're like, let's just
Yeah,
type
you're
it up.
going. You're going. Keep going.
Yeah. No, so it was just a case of it was so spontaneous that they didn't account for that strategy. And they calculated for a two-stop. So the stint that they made on the last hard tire of Russell, it just wore more than expected. I keep it just that easily. They drove more laps than expected on the tire, and the tire wore accordingly to that, and that is what cost them those 1.5 kilos, which is only 375 grams per tire. So, and that is where they lost that. And if you think about it, 375 grams per tire is not a lot. That is actually not a lot in
really.
not a lot in wear. So
But all
those
counts,
1.5 those 1.5 kilos sound a lot, but it's not in actuality. But yeah, the rule is the rule, and he got disqualified because of that. And now the question is, do you throw that on him or the team because he chose the one stop? It should have been, I guess, on the team to think about that before making then the decision to stay with the one stop that George wanted, because they surely would have had to have at least think of that. Or tell him no, we will wear the tires too much at the end of it, or they just took a gamble at that point and this was the outcome. I don't know, but I think it is also mismanagement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is part of it. That's the race engineers, the tire guy, whoever it is in that team. They're supposed to make these calculations. I don't know if they did, or maybe it was an afterthought. I have no idea, but certainly they would be learning. All teams should be learning from this one.
Absolutely. And yeah, like we continue to say also on every episode, these margins are so close, and this is a game of the smallest margins. For example, a couple of kilometers straight line speed today would have helped other drivers, for example, or those 375 grams per tire would have won George the race if they had accounted for that and saved the tires maybe a bit more, or then they wouldn't have gone for the one stop. That would have got him at least points or something. But yeah,
it's a gamble, right?
Those small margins can win you a race, but can also lose you a race.
Well, that's the thing. I rag, of course, on Ferrari because I say they weren't aggressive enough. If they were aggressive, because I did think at one point that they were going to put Carlos out for a one stop as well. Would he have been in the same situation? Would that have ruined the race? You just don't know.
Yep. Maybe his race would have been better if they just kept. I don't know. The problem is for me, because we haven't talked a lot about Carlos as well. So he started on the hard tire, and on the race the car is very heavy. You put a lot of energy in your tires because the tires are moving a heavier object. So you have a shorter tire life on your first stint usually. And to start off, the tire that was the best for this race, and to destroy a hard tire already in the first 20 laps, because that's how long he stayed out. I think it's the wrong strategy. They should have started on the mediums like everybody else, and then maybe try the one stop or whatever. Because at that point, when you start on the mediums, you are on the same strategy as the others, so you're not losing time on that stint, because you are 1v1 with the other cars basically. And from that point on, if you do a decision to do the one stop, then you take that decision. but not starting on the wrong tire, burning through one of the best tires to be on for this race, and then go to the medium that will not hold up for the rest of the race, and then needing to do another stop again, it was just bad strategy for Carlos, man.
Like I said, strategy, qualifications, strategy, and then
more strategy,
and then more strategy.
And I don't know which one is worse. If that Ferrari strategy call with Carlos was worse, or the one keeping Lando 5 laps longer out than needed. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's a wash, I guess. Similar performance. That's what I'm saying. All across the board.
Hey, and Dave, it continues to be a pattern as well. Like McLaren is keeping doing those strategy errors, and Ferrari is keep doing them. Who had a clean strategy today? Mercedes and Red Bull.
Yeah,
it is again the two teams that are good at championship fights.
Now let's give Ferrari some credit here. Remember how much of a dumpster fire they used to be? These are improvements.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, the Mattia Binotto, Aria va bene, it wasn't even that bad, or at least you didn't notice it because they were too slow. but in the Binotto era, at least they were quick, but fucking up their strategy.
Binotto actually. Well, that happened this week. Binotto,
that's
too sour. Yeah, that's the thing. He's back, guys.
The question is, will he poach the driver he got to Ferrari? Will he get Carlos Sainz?
He might. He very well might. I think so.
Man, F1 is exciting. The driver market is exciting. The races are exciting. Hamilton is winning now 2 races on the bounce. Look, who would have bet on that? Like when the season started?
That's fine. That's back to back.
What a time to be alive, man!
It's hammer time.
And the next race is on a track that is very good for the Mercedes as well.
Yeah. Well, Mercedes, they might just be the new all-rounder.
And Mercedes still has huge upgrades also planned.
Unless they do like everyone else is and they over-upgrade and it gets worse.
Hey, Dave, do you think, because I read this theory online as well, you remember the 2009 Braun GP season, or at least rewatched it, and where they started so far up front, they had such an advantage, but they were already on the limit of the development, and then the Red Bull slowly caught up and won more and more time, but it wasn't enough in the end because the Braun GP team already accumulated so many points.
Yeah,
do you think this is a similar case this season, where the Red Bull started so far at the front, one of them started so far on the forefoot and made all those points, so that it's now impossible for the others to catch up, and no matter how good they are?
It makes it extremely hard. Mathematically, of course, and anything could happen, especially because we were saying a few weeks ago that the second to fifth place teams, they were all taking points off each other.
Yep.
Well, now Red Bull is in that mix where the points are getting taken off.
Yep.
So yeah, absolutely anything could happen. And the more that happens, the more that it will happen.
And by the way, I argue that McLaren right now is hating Mercedes because they are up there. And Mercedes is costing the McLaren's points right now. They're costing them a hell lot of points. And these races should have been the races where McLaren makes up the big points, because they have the fastest car. Again, this race, Oscar was the fastest car right there on the front.
Yeah.
And it was, in theory, a Mercedes one too.
But it's not how fast it is, it's how you use it.
Russell got there via a miraculous strategy call by himself, and Hamilton just on his pace. He started on the front and controlled the race, and that's how they got there. But Piastri was the fastest car on track.
But it doesn't matter how fast you are. It's how well you can slide it into the box.
Yep. Gotta slide it in.
He got a little aggressive. All right, so that's it. I mean, after we remembered to talk about the thing that we led off the whole podcast with,
Yeah.
I think that we finally do cover it. So, yeah. Let's take a break. It's time to take a break on the F1 front, guys.
Absolutely.
And now the good and the bad thing, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good to take a breather. We have another podcast to do, so stay tuned for that one. Hint, it's about Federico.
It's not a podcast, Dave. It's a 10-minute clip.
Podcast clip. It's a moving picture show.
I thought I was ready. An hour-long conversation on him. I'd hang myself.
But before we send ourselves off to the F1 summer break and go into a football clip, what are your good things and what are your bad things of this weekend? And raise your hand for who it is, Perez.
Is it? I mean, he's a given.
The bad thing.
I know that's what I'm saying. It's pretty much a given.
I'm so sorry, man. I'm really sorry for him. He's in a bad situation, in a situation where the car got worse or the other cars got better, and where it is so closely matched at the front that even if he loses only 2 tenths per lap to Verstappen, dude, the other cars are up there, and that costs him, man.
So you basically just asked that question because you wanted to trash on Perez again. That's all. That's all I'm getting out of this. Is that you wanted one last chance before the summer break?
Hey, number one, it is an actual part of our show, and number two, yes.
You just wanted one last chance. He's like, no, I'm not going home until Perez gets shot on one more time.
Yep.
Just to be different, I'm gonna pick Zhou because he didn't even finish.
Russell did finish, but yeah.
But I give him points for being able to hold on to those tires. So I'm not upset with Russell.
Russell had the 10 of 10 race, and I don't know, man. It's mixed that what happened there in the end. It was him doing the call and the team also saying yes, all right, do it. And nobody accounted for that tire thing. But yeah.
Nobody. Not even my newsfeed.
No. Not even the newsfeed. And not even Dash was cooking, literally.
I gotta pay better
Dash, what is your bad thing?
My bad thing? I don't know. Like, I mean, outside of Perez, but it's more of a good thing because it's keeping the build team.
Hey, you can go for McLaren strategy.
I could probably see McLaren just not capitalizing again because, like, again, this is another race that Max doesn't finish in pole position or in podium positions, and it's like you have to take advantage of those for the constructors build. I also kind of want to say Ferrari's kind of quietly started putting it together.
That's okay.
On performance, they do. Strategically, they don't. Let's see when
they can get cars to finish now.
Well, they're finishing.
I know, that's what I'm saying. They're getting cars to finish now because, like, after Monaco, like, they fell off a cliff.
Yeah, they had 3. Well, Charles fell off a cliff, and Sainz is kind of being that.
Charles is also a bit back.
Yeah, Charles. And that's the thing. People put Charles down because he's quiet. You
mean Hamilton's number 2?
No, the problem is the people are not understanding how it is for a driver to drive in a car that is not competitive. Now the car is slowly getting up there, and he feels it. And if you don't have the feeling to compete for something, look at how Hamilton was like a couple of races ago. If you don't have the feeling in the car or the trust in the car for it to be competitive, you're automatically like not giving 100%. And I think it was maybe a case with Leclerc as well. And now look at Hamilton, for example. Like I said, he has the feeling back on the car. He has trust in his car, and look how he's performed.
Yeah. So just don't hate on Charles. There's a lot of haters out there. There's no need, guys.
I don't. I like him. He's a good guy. And by the way, my good thing my good thing is Sir Lewis Hamilton for getting 105 and for just banging out performance after performance.
That's
right now.
an easy one. Yeah. How do you disagree with that? And I will, just to be different, but give it to Oscar. Yeah, he earned it.
Yeah, I know.
Second place. Yeah. Good old race. Not too many mistakes. He held enough together to get second, obviously, right? Yeah. So right, Dash. Your background's green.
Yeah, it's for Lewis.
Oh, that's what you were doing.
I thought it was for Aston Martin to show George Russell how an actual one-stopper is done.
Yeah, it's more of an Aston Martin green than the Mercedes green.
Yeah.
But anyways, before we waffle harder than Chick-fil-A's waffle fries, make sure you like and subscribe if you're new here.
So
subscribe.
I guess there's good things Aston Martin.
Yeah. I did not. Make sure you catch us on Spotify. If you don't want to watch us on YouTube, you can listen to us on Spotify, so you can keep your phone off and keep your battery going, because we're on there as well. And F1 peeps, if you're not there to join us for the footy content, we will see you at the end of August.
I might do some sim stuff. Just
Dave might race.
Just
we might even do like clips or something if actual news happen, the driver market changes or whatever.
Yeah, we'll fill a void. There'll be void holes being filled.
Yeah. We fill holes here quite well.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
Like McLaren's into their pit box.